Welcome to Storyflow Diaries, where we bring history to life through powerful stories of courage, honor, and resilience. Today, we share a remarkable moment that goes beyond politics, a story of gratitude, sacrifice, and giving back. It all began on Memorial Day in Washington, D.C., as former President Donald Trump stood behind the podium, addressing a crowd gathered to honor fallen military heroes. His words carried across the solemn assembly, paying tribute to the bravery of those who gave their lives in service to their country. As the ceremony drew to a close, Trump stepped forward to personally thank the veterans in attendance. Among them was a man in a wheelchair, Samuel Grayson, a veteran whose quiet strength and powerful story would soon inspire an extraordinary act of generosity. What happened next was a moment neither of them would ever forget. As the American flag waved in the breeze, Donald Trump stood at the podium, his voice steady and strong. He spoke of bravery, sacrifice, and the unwavering dedication of those who laid down their lives for their country. He honored the fallen and recognized the veterans who carried the weight of war long after the battles had ended. The crowd listened in silence, some with hands over their hearts, others wiping away tears, as he reminded them that freedom was never free. It was paid for by the courage of those willing to fight for it. As the ceremony came to a close, Trump stepped down from the stage, making his way toward a group of veterans seated in the front row. Among them was Samuel Grayson, a man in a wheelchair whose lined face told a story of hardship and resilience. Trump extended a hand. "Thank you for your service, Sam." Sam grasped it firmly, looking him in the eye. "It's an honor, sir. We do what we must." Trump crouched slightly, bringing himself to Sam's level. "Where did you serve?" he asked. "Afghanistan," Sam replied, his voice steady, but his eyes betraying a glint of pain. "Lost my leg there after a roadside ambush. Lucky to be alive." Trump frowned, leaning in. "What happened?" Sam took a breath. "It was 2012. Our convoy was delivering supplies to a remote base when we hit an IED. Shrapnel took out my leg and nearly wiped out my squad. But we made it out, thanks to the ones who didn't leave me behind. Every day since, I've been grateful." Trump held his gaze for a moment, sensing the weight behind his words. Around them, applause rang out as more veterans were recognized, but Trump barely noticed. Sam's quiet humility, his strength in the face of loss, stirred something deep within him. This was more than a handshake or a moment of recognition. This was a man who had given everything and expected nothing in return. And Trump knew he had to do more than just say thank you. That evening, long after the Memorial Day ceremony had ended, Trump sat alone in his office, replaying his conversation with Sam. The veteran's quiet strength, his resilience in the face of loss, and his unwavering gratitude for those who saved him weighed heavily on his mind. Sam had given so much: his service, his sacrifice, even a part of himself. A simple handshake and a thank you didn't feel like enough. Trump knew he had to do something more, something meaningful. He picked up his phone and called one of his aides. "Find out everything you can about Samuel Grayson," he instructed. "Where he lives, what he's doing now. I want to know everything." The aide, though curious, knew better than to ask questions. Within hours, the report came in. Sam lived in a small town in Virginia, where he ran a community center for veterans and their families. It wasn't just a building, it was a lifeline. He provided counseling, job training, and therapy sessions for those struggling with PTSD. But the center was barely staying afloat. Sam had been funding it out of his own pocket, refusing to let it close despite mounting financial struggles. Trump leaned back in his chair, his decision made. "We're going to transform that center," he said. "State-of-the-art facilities, job resources, everything. I want the best architects and planners on this, and I want it done fast." One of his advisors hesitated. Sir, that's a big undertaking. It'll require substantial funding and coordination. Trump's response was immediate. Then we'll make it happen. I'll cover the cost myself if I have to. This isn't about politics. It's about doing what's right. The next morning, Trump called an urgent meeting with his top advisors, architects, and planners. As they took their seats, he wasted no time. We're going to rebuild Samuel Grayson's community center, he announced. Not just renovate it, we're transforming it into the best facility of its kind. The room fell silent for a moment. Then the questions began. What exactly are we planning, sir? One of his team members asked. Everything, Trump replied. State-of-the-art therapy rooms for veterans dealing with PTSD, a job training center with the best resources available, a fitness facility designed for rehabilitation. I want this place to be a second home for those who served. Some in the room exchanged uncertain glances. The scale of the project was massive, and the logistics alone would be a challenge. One advisor spoke up. Sir, this will take serious funding and coordination. Trump didn't hesitate. I don't care what it takes. I'll fund it myself if I have to. This isn't about money. It's about honoring a man who's been honoring others for years. Within days, the project was in motion. Contractors were hired, permits secured, and blueprints drawn. The old, worn-out center was stripped down to its foundation as construction crews worked tirelessly. Sam knew nothing of the plan. Trump had insisted on keeping it a surprise. Each visit to the site only strengthened his resolve. This wasn't just about building a facility. It was about building a future for veterans who had given everything for their country. And nothing, not cost or complexity, would stop him from seeing it through. One crisp autumn morning, Samuel Grayson received an unexpected phone call. Mr. Grayson, we'd like you to come to the community center this afternoon, the voice on the other end said. There's something you need to see. The request was vague, but Sam didn't ask questions. He simply agreed and made his way there, unsure of what to expect. As he arrived, he was stunned to find a large crowd gathered outside. Veterans, families, and members of the community stood shoulder to shoulder, their faces filled with anticipation. But what truly took Sam's breath away was the building itself. The rundown center he had struggled to keep alive was unrecognizable. Fresh paint, bright banners, and a massive American flag draped across the entrance. It looked brand new. At the center of it all stood Donald Trump, waiting with a rare warmth in his expression. Sam wheeled forward, still trying to process what he was seeing. What's going on? He asked, his voice tinged with confusion. Trump stepped closer, resting a hand on his shoulder. Sam, you've spent your life serving others. It's time someone did something for you. He gestured toward the building. Welcome to the new Grayson Veterans Center. Sam's eyes widened as he was led inside. Room by room, he took in the transformation, the counseling offices, the training labs, the state-of-the-art therapy rooms. Everything had been rebuilt with care, designed to support the very people he had dedicated his life to helping. Overwhelmed, he turned to Trump. I don't know what to say. Trump looked him in the eye and said firmly, You don't have to say anything. This is your legacy, Sam. You've earned it. As Trump's words echoed through the air, the crowd erupted into applause. Some wiped away tears, others cheered, and many simply stood in silent awe, taking in the magnitude of what had just happened. Veterans who had once struggled to find support now saw a future filled with hope. Families who had watched their loved ones battle PTSD knew this place would be a sanctuary. Sam, overcome with emotion, looked around at the people whose lives would be changed because of this moment. The Grayson Veterans Center was no longer just a building. It was a symbol of resilience, a place where those who had sacrificed so much could find the help they deserved. With its new facilities, veterans would have access to cutting edge therapy, career training, and a community that truly understood them. It wasn't just about fixing walls and floors, it was about rebuilding lives. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the center, Trump watched as Sam greeted fellow veterans, shaking hands and sharing stories. This was more than a grand gesture. It was a reminder that true gratitude goes beyond words. Honoring those who serve means taking action, standing by them long after the battles have ended. As the event wound down, Trump took one last look at the center and the people it would help. Today wasn't about politics or publicity, it was about doing what was right. And as Sam stood in front of his new center, surrounded by those he had dedicated his life to helping, one thing was clear: his legacy would live on, stronger than ever. Sam Grayson's story is a powerful reminder that true service doesn't end on the battlefield. It continues in the quiet sacrifices made every day. His dedication to helping fellow veterans, despite his own hardships, is what makes him a true hero. And in return, he received not just recognition, but a lasting impact that will change lives for years to come. This is what honoring our veterans should look like. Not just words, but meaningful action. If you found this story inspiring, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating stories from history. Honoring the past, inspiring the future. See you next time on Storyflow Diaries.